Thank you, Nectar, and welcome all of you. It's so nice to be with you this afternoon at different time zones. It's 2:00 in New Mexico, and it's just a pleasure to be with you. I will be sharing with you a slide presentation with two demonstrations, one of a Limpia, an energetic spiritual cleansing, and the other one on herbs for stress and anxiety. And why is this topic important right now? Well, we have COVID. And many of us, if not most of us, are stressed, and we're suffering from anxiety. So let me start the PowerPoint presentation now. Curanderismo, traditional medicine approach to the Hispanic world for times of stress and anxiety. And maybe I can add during COVID times. Curanderismo. What is curanderismo? It comes from the word curar. It's the art of Mexican folk healing. But I shouldn't say just Mexican, because you find curanderismo all over the world, especially in the Hispanic world. Again, curar means to heal. It's a holistic approach to healing mind, body, and spirit. I think that's very important because curanderos heal the whole body. And who is a curandero, a curandera? Well, it's a person who may have, that also works on the material, spiritual, and mental levels. Or someone with a don or a gift to heal. Or an apprentice, somebody that learned from another person, whether it be a family member or a friend. In earlier years, this was very common, that you would learn from someone else. But nowadays, there are schools, believe it or not, especially the school that I work with, and I got my certificate at the school. It's called Centro de Desarrollo hacia la Comunidad. So it's a community center towards that really teaches curanderismo. It is located in Morelia, on Cuernavaca, Morelos, Mexico. And it's an excellent school. It's been around for about 30 years. It's run by a friend of mine, Dr. Arturo Ornelas. It's one of the best schools that I know of. It's a fusion of traditional and allopathic medicine, because I can mention some of those things later on. It has influenced curanderismo, we believe, or I believe, has influenced the revival of what we used to call alternative medicine, contemporary medicine, but now we refer to it as holistic or integrated medicine, which means that it can be part of modern allopathic medicine. It's not alternative, it can be part of it. And it's a $21 billion consumer spending industry. People spend a lot of money in traditional medicine. And Andrew Weil, it's a famous Andrew Weil who has made the front page of Time magazine 3 times. He's an MD, and he has written several books on this topic, and comes out in PBS TV. And he says it's a common sense approach to healing. He says it can't hurt you, but it could help you. And he says simple things that we all know are good for us: eat less animal fat, animal food, try to control your stress. A little bit of stress is okay, but severe stress is not. Eliminate or reduce the intake of booze, that's liquor, beer, cigarettes, and coffee. You can take coffee in moderations. And he says, begin an exercise program. The best medicine is exercise, preventive medicine. He says, massage and hypnosis therapy are good for you. Use herbs, plants, hierbitas. Cook with olive oil. Use garlic, ginger, etc. And keep lots of fresh flowers around the house. Very simple things that Dr. Weil recommends, and also that the curanderos also recommend that I work with. Here's a picture of Dr. Weil, Harvard MD, medical doctor, Again, he's made the front page of Time magazine 3 times, which is unusual. He is the modern integrative medicine specialist, emphasizing holistic, common sense approach to treatment and healing. Next to him is Don Pedrito Jaramillo. If you live in South Texas, you've heard of Don Pedrito Jaramillo most likely. He came from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, at the age of about 50 and settled down in South Texas near Falfurrias, Texas, in Los Olmos Ranch. And he became one of the most famous curanderos in history. But he was illiterate, not like Dr. Weil. He didn't have an education. And at some point in his life, people in gratitude for the healing gave him a son, Severiano Barrera, who lived on Don Pedrito and used to answer a lot of the hundreds of letters that were sent to Don Pedrito. But he was a traditional 19th century Mexican folk healer. He also emphasized the same thing as Dr. Weil, an MD, emphasizing holistic, common sense approach to treatment and healing. So you have 2 people, one in Harvard MD, the other illiterate, couldn't read or write, doing the same thing. And probably both of them were very popular during their time. Integrative complementary alternative medicine is what we refer to now. Of the 130 U.S. accredited medical schools, and we have one here at the University of New Mexico, 100 cover alternative complementary integrative medicine. This comes from the Association of American Medical Colleges. We have a Center for Life, which covers this integrated medicine concept. In New Mexico, we have the UN Center for Life, used to be run by Dr. Arti Prasad. Now, if you went to Minnesota, we have the Ayurvedic Institute. Ayurvedic medicine comes from India. We have the San Giovanni Integrated Medicine Center and the Southwest Acupuncture College that just moved, I believe, to Santa Fe from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Now, let's change a little bit and discuss energetic spiritual cleansings, or limpias. Limpias are used in a lot of treatments in traditional medicine. Sometimes we forget that our energy or our spirit is damaged. The studies have indicated that about 8 inches around our body, we have an aura. We have energy. And sometimes we call it the spirit. And when you have traumatic experiences, it gets damaged. And we suffer illnesses. We can't sleep. We have headaches. We have migraines. We have stress. And right now during COVID, there seems to be a lot of people going through a lot of stress. A limpia is a wonderful way to treat this malady of a broken spirit, or the energy has been broken. And Laurencio Nuñez is a curandero. He's in the center of this slide. He's a curandero from Oaxaca. He learned curanderismo from his grandmother, who was a famous curandera, knew the famous other curandera, Maria Sabina, and he became a curandero, and he specializes in limpias and in medicinal plants, in a lot of things, but I love the way that he does a limpia. So we're going to do a short demonstration of Laurencio's limpia, and I hope that we can hear the voice of Laurencio. The benefits or the elements that are used in Laurencio's limpia is an egg that absorbs negative vibration, herbs that sweep away negative vibrations, copal, which is an incense, comes from the copal tree, a candle, water or mezcal also is used to absorb and sweep negative vibrations. All of these elements. Now here is going to be using plants and just an egg. He won't be using the other elements. So let's see if we can.
Right now, Paul will do a cleansing.
Ayúdanos, Gran Padre Celestial, a llevar a cabo esta ceremonia de limpia en el cuerpo, en el pensamiento, en el espíritu y en el corazón de tu Hijo Cheo. Que así sea.
Allow me to bring cleansing to this body, to this spirit, this mind.
del cielo y de la tierra.
from the heavens and the earth.
Ayúdanos, gran Señor,
Help me, great
con que
Father,
estas plantas,
with these great plants
fruto de la madre tierra,
to help Mother
sean el
Nature,
elemento
that we
para
cleanse
poder limpiar
so that I can
este
cleanse
cuerpo,
this body,
este pensamiento,
those thoughts,
este espíritu
that
y
spirit,
este corazón
and this
de
heart
tu hijo Eliseo.
of your son,
Ayúdale, gran
Eliseo.
Padre,
Help him
a sacar todas esas malas vibraciones,
to take out any bad
esas malas
vibrations,
energías que se cierran en su cuerpo.
those energies that feel that they could stay in his
Cuídalo y
body.
protégelo.
Help him and protect
Yo te
him.
lo pido, yo te lo ruego, gran Señor.
I ask you, great Father, to protect him.
Ven, ven,
Come,
ven,
come,
ven, ven,
come, come.
ven. Espíritu divino,
Divine Spirit,
regresa a tu cuerpo.
return to your body.
Ven, ven,
Come,
ven.
come.
Espíritu de Cheo,
Great Spirit of Cheo,
regresa a tu cuerpo.
return to your body.
Ven, ven,
Come,
ven.
come.
Cheo, regresa a tu cuerpo.
Cheo, return
ven,
to your body.
ven. Cheo,
Come,
regresa
come,
a tu
Cheo.
cuerpo.
Return to your
Ven,
body.
yo te llamo.
I am
Yo te
calling
pido
you,
que regreses.
and I am asking
Estés
you
donde estés.
so that you are where you
Ven.
are. Come,
Haz uno solo,
come, you alone,
en cuerpo,
in your body,
en pensamiento,
in thought,
en espíritu
and in your spirit,
y en corazón.
and within your heart.
Ayúdanos, gran Padre,
Help us, great
para que
Father,
estas plantas
for these plants,
absorban
that
las
they
malas
absorb
energías,
anything
las malas
that's bad
vibraciones de este ser.
energy or vibrations in his body.
Ven, ven,
Come,
ven.
come,
Espíritu de Cheo,
Spirit of Cheo,
regresa.
return,
Ven,
come,
Espíritu de Cheo,
return,
ven
the
a tu
Spirit of Cheo.
cuerpo.
Let me cleanse this body.
Intégrate a él.
I'm giving these plants
Dale el
energy to you
equilibrio.
so that you can have
Dale la
balance
paz.
and peace
Dale la armonía.
and of harmony
Dale la felicidad
and of the
que
happiness,
este ser está buscando.
everything that you're looking
Que así
for.
sea.
That's the way it is, and that's the way it'll be. Recorded.
Ayúdanos, gran
Help
Padre
us.
Celestial,
Great
para
Father,
que este huevo,
So that
fruto de
this
la madre tierra y del
egg,
viento,
with the strength of the Mother Earth,
sea el elemento
Be an
para poder
element
limpiar el
that can
cuerpo,
guide us and help the body
el pensamiento,
in their thoughts,
el espíritu
is the
y
spirit
el corazón de tu hijo Cheo.
of the heart of your son,
Ayúdalo,
Cheo.
gran Padre.
Help us, great
No
Father,
lo desampares.
all of our parents.
Cuídalo y protégelo.
Take care of him and protect him,
Que este huevo
that this egg
absorba
absorb
las malas energías,
any bad
las
energies,
malas vibraciones,
any bad
las
vibrations,
tristezas.
any sadness.
Well, if you notice that Laurencio only used two elements, the plants and the egg, but in a more intensive limpia that may take 30 minutes or so, he would also use copal, the incense, and he would burn the copal in an incense burner called saumerio or poposhkomi in the Nahuatl language. He would use mezcal or water he would spray on me. And then he would give me a candle and would ask me to burn it once I get home to burn away any negative vibrations. So that is a demonstration by the curandero from Oaxaca, Mexico. He comes to our class in the summer. In the summer, we have a face-to-face class, and we bring some excellent curanderos, and Laurencio being one of them. The other demonstration that I have is Leticia. Leticia is from, she's not from Oaxaca. She's from Cuernavaca, Morelos, Mexico. And she also comes, and she specializes in plants. Here, she's going to talk about plants for the nervous system. Remember, right now, we're experiencing a lot of nervousness, a lot of stress. So we have a very short video on
Esta
Leticia.
planta que con su aroma
This plant with its aroma
va a tranquilizar mi sistema nervioso.
helps to tranquilize our nervous system.
Va a servir para cuando se siente uno muy nervioso o tiene ansiedad.
It helps when somebody feels really nervous or has a lot of anxiety.
Simplemente con tener un ramito cerca
You could always just have just a stem
y
close to
percibir
you.
el aroma,
Perceive the aroma,
yo me voy a tranquilizar.
and I naturally become more tranquil.
Otra planta tranquilizante
Another tranquilizing plant is
es la hermosa rosa.
a beautiful rose.
¿Sí? Aparte de observar su belleza,
But apart from looking at its beauty,
su aroma también va a relajar a mi cuerpo.
aroma as well helps to relax the body.
Una planta sumamente importante
One plant that is very
y que
important for
tienen
us,
aquí, pero a mares,
you guys have a lot of this here.
es el maravilloso romero.
It's the beautiful rosemary.
Esta plantita es un hepatoprotector,
This is a blood protector.
hepatoregenerador
It also helps regenerate,
y es una planta estimulante,
but it's also a stimulant.
que aparte de su aroma,
And apart from its aroma,
yo puedo diariamente
I could daily,
comer una hojita,
I could eat one leaf.
¿sí? Y esto va a mantener a mi cerebro
And this would help maintain my brain
despejado.
so that it becomes, there's
¿Sí?
fluidity.
Va a ser excelente cuando hay problema de ansiedad
It's really excellent when people have
O de depresión.
problems of anxiety or depression.
En una depresión estamos como que ya no tenemos aliento, no tenemos deseo de seguir viviendo.
When somebody has depression, they lack their breath and they no longer have the desire to go forward.
Nuestra energía está bajando demasiado.
And their energy has become very weak.
Entonces esta plantita es estimulante y me va a ayudar a recuperar esa energía.
And so this plant is a stimulant and it helps recuperate your energy.
Una muestra
I'm going to give you a demonstration right
de
now
un masajito facial,
of a facial massage.
que en este caso lo voy a hacer a un compañerito que me va a hacer favor
He's going to help us today.
de permitirme tocar
Right in
su
front of him.
rostro.
So he's going to permit me to touch his face.
Pero este masaje lo vamos a poder hacer uno mismo.
I'm going to show you how to do this, but I want you to know this is something you could do to yourself.
Si en la noche al acostarte no puedes conciliar el sueño,
If you sleep at night and you realize that you're not able to go to sleep,
puedes darte este masaje maravilloso
you could give this marvelous self-massage,
y vas a complementar
and you're going to complement it
también
with,
dando un masaje en las muñecas,
but also giving your own massage in your wrists of your hands.
¿sí? Con este masaje estamos tranquilizando corazón
With this little massage, you're actually making your heart more tranquil,
y estamos tranquilizando también pulmón.
but you're also tranquilizing your lungs.
Va a ser la mejor medicina natural
It would be the best
para poder
natural
conciliar
medicine
el sueño,
so that you could then sleep.
¿sí? Y también tenemos esta hermosa planta que en cuestión de insomnio, la dejé al último para esto,
This is why I left this plant as the last, because
Es
this is
el-
also excellent for insomnia.
albahaca,
This is basil.
¿sí? También nos podemos tomar un tecito con una hojita
You could
de
take
albahaca
a tea using just one
Para-
leaf in a cup of tea,
para una taza de té
one leaf per cup,
y tomarla antes de acostarnos a dormir.
and you could take it right before you go to bed.
Y ahora sí,
And now,
felices sueños.
have good dreams.
Sí, para este masajito voy a utilizar un poco de aceitito.
I'm going to use a little bit of massage oil.
Es una cosa mínima, una
Just very, very
gotita,
little, just a drop.
¿sí? Que tiene aroma de lavanda
And
precisamente.
this has the aroma of lavender.
Que desde que lo estoy inhalando
And as you're inhaling,
está tranquilizando mi sistema nervioso.
you've already started to begin to tranquilize
Traigo
your
un
nervous
poquito
system.
mis manos para provocar calor.
You're going to rub your hands together so that you could provoke warmth in your hands.
Deposito mis manos
I
a una
deposit
corta distancia
my
primero,
hands just as a distance from the eyes,
en el rostro
on the face,
de la persona que voy a masajear.
to the person that I'm going to massage.
Y después voy a iniciar
And I'm
por
going-
su frente.
To initiate
¿Sí?
on the front,
Voy a hacer este movimiento
I'm going to do this
para
movement
estimular
to stimulate,
la energía de este rostro.
to move the
de este
energy within this
cuerpo.
space and this body.
Unos pequeños
Little,
pellizcos.
little pinches
En
above the
cejas.
eye, on the eyebrows.
Desde luego que estos movimientos los voy a hacer
And these movements I'm going to do
unos 3 minutos en cada punto.
for about 3 minutes in each point.
En las laterales del rostro,
On the lateral sides of the face,
en los ojos, pero muy suavemente.
but very softly
Sí,
you'll do that
muy
on
suave.
top of the eyelids.
Este masajito debe de ser rico,
This needs
delicioso.
to feel rich and delicious.
De la base de la nariz,
On the base of the nose
al pómulo,
to the cheekbones.
¿sí? Nos vamos continuando
And we continue
con cada punto del
with
rostro.
every point on the face.
En este caso, donde terminan los labios,
In this case, where the
en la
lips
comisura de
end,
la boca,
and to the top of the mouth,
me voy al abajo de la barbilla,
I go underneath the lip, on the chin.
suavemente recorro,
Very softly, I'm running my hands.
¿sí? Después de ahí me sigo con las orejitas,
After, I'll finish with the ears.
estimulando, estimulando. En todas estas partes de mi cuerpo tengo terminaciones nerviosas de mis órganos.
Specifically on the ears, you have points that connect directly to your nervous system. So if I stimulate these points, then I'm relaxing the nervous system.
Aquí estoy estimulando a todo mi organismo.
But I'm also stimulating all of the organs within the body.
Aquí doy un pequeño jaloncito
Here, I'm going to pull a little bit,
hacia arriba,
up,
hacia atrás
down,
y hacia abajo.
up, back, and
¿Sí?
down. I will
Termino
pull
con
you.
cuello,
I finish with the neck,
y saco.
and I remove.
Me sigo con cabecita porque si no lo dejaría yo incompleto.
And then I'll finish with the head because I don't want to leave an completed job.
Un pequeño shampoo
I do a little shampoo,
y después
stimulation, and after,
me voy con mis dedos pulgares
I go with my thumbs,
apretando.
pressing.
No se preocupen,
Do not worry.
el cráneo es duro.
The cranium is hard.
No va a pasar absolutamente nada si yo oprimo.
Absolutely nothing will happen if I press with a little
Los
pressure.
laterales,
On the lateral side of the head,
y también vuelvo a sacar.
and then I go and I remove, sweeping the head.
Tallo de nuevo mis manos
I start to rub my hands,
y termino pasando energía del universo.
and I continue by giving energy to the from the universe to the head.
Ok.
Thank you.
¿Cómo te sientes?
How do you feel?
Very relaxed. Thank you.
Muy
¿Rico?
relajada, gracias.
Ok. Bueno, pues espero que sea.
Well, here we had Leticia. Leticia is just another wonderful curandera that comes to the class in the summer. She has a clinic, a couple of clinics around the Cuernavaca area, and she specializes in many things, especially plants for the nervous system and the wonderful massage that all of us can do to relieve stress. With the plants, she talked about the rosa, or the rose, albahaca, basil, romero, rosemary, and lavanda or lavender. Those are the plants, but there's many other plants that they use. They especially use passiflora, passion flower.
Thank you for sharing this, Dr. Torres. We got a lot of comments in the chat while the video was playing, and I was wondering if I could share a few with you.
Sure, of course.
We had a question from Stephanie Shushan, who said, is there a collection of these videos that can be shared with individuals and providers?
Yes, I'm going to discuss these videos, more videos in 4 short free classes. In a few minutes, I'll show you the slide. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Torres. We had Veronica Torres Gonzalez say, this is fascinating. We had someone say, by Kay Dunn, say, that looks like it feels so good. Erica Hall said, very fascinating and therapeutic, therapeutic to just watch. Eliseo Bayo said, feels great. I'm giving myself the massage. I feel very relaxed as well.
Wonderful.
Sheila Stone said, so many people need to just have something that helps immediately, and I couldn't agree more as someone that suffers from migraines from time to time. We had Gladys Carrillo say, these are great to share with providers who want to learn about cultural and holistic practices common amongst many Mexican indigenous cultures. Maria Hernandez says super relajado. Sanchez Cacique said, what a beautiful representation of how traditional medicine can help in our everyday lives using resources that are easily available to us. We have one person by the name of Tree Knowlton who said, I took a couple of Senor Torres' online classes several years ago, so helpful. So not only are we sharing this information with many folks, myself included, for the first time, but it looks like we also have somebody that took a class with you. So just wanted to share all of that wonderful feedback with you.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for your chats and your questions. Here are some other plants that weren't mentioned, but are simple plants that many of us grew up with. One is manzanilla or chamomile. Here we have what it does. So many wonderful things, including insomnia, a sedative, and eye wash. It's just a wonderful. I grew up with manzanilla like many of you have. Here's another one, damiana, for anxiety, asthma, colic, and it's a mild indigestion. Damiana, the popular Damiana is Damiana de California. Here's lavender. Leticia mentioned lavanda, Gualucema. The common names change. I also use the botanical name that never changes. So, but this is why it's important to know both the botanical name and the common names in Spanish and in English. It's a wonderful sedative and wonderful for indigestion. Somebody mentioned the courses. These are the courses that are free. They're online. They're through Coursera. It's a platform that doesn't charge. Now, they'll charge you a little bit if you want a certificate. If you don't want a certificate, just press a button that says audit, and they won't charge you anything. There's 4 short classes, and many of them are Spanish and English with interpretations. Now we are soon we will announce a new course just in Spanish, but these courses are wonderful and they're free. They're offered all over the world. The first course is using plants. This one here, medicinal plants for the digestive nervous system. We heard a little bit about that. How do you prepare your plants for medicine in microdoses, which is water-based or tinctures? Alcohol-based, juice therapy, healing with herbal oils. These are a few of the topics that are taught in this class. The second class is treating the body. Here we talk about fire cupping or ventosas. Ventosas are wonderful. Mayan abdominal massage. We neglect our stomach many times, but we show you how to do that. Intestinal blockage is another one. Empacho. Body and spinal alignments, the traditional chiropractor, traditional healing for infants and the aging community. 2 groups of people that are very sensitive. Infants, of course, can't talk, and aging community, their skin is sensitive, the bones are brittle. So we show you some techniques to treat infants and aging and pregnant women. The other course is global and cultural influences of healing, traditional healing. Here I've worked with African healer from Uganda. This gentleman in the red bandana is from Uganda. The other one is from Gabon, the one with the white bandana, Gabon, Africa. And then Afro-Cuban, I work with a Cuban healer. So we have Cuban healing in this. And then another with Puerto Rican healing, traditional healing. Also the Native American feather healing and Mayan acupuncture. The Mayans were wonderful at acupuncture. We think that it's Asian, but Mayans also were doing this. And then the final class is healing mind, energy, and spirit. Here we have a photograph of Laurencio, whom you saw a few minutes ago, demonstrating more in depth the energetic cleansing or limpia. We talk about the temazcals, the sweat lodges that are making a comeback. We have several in Albuquerque, and during the class, students have a chance to experience a temazcal, and they go home and they build their own temazcals, which is very simple to build. And then healing through sound, music, and then laugh therapy, risaterapia. And the other, how do you heal grief? If you're grieving, you lost a loved one, we talk about Dia de los Muertos and how they were able to deal with grief. And here in the center of this page is it's a link. So you'll be getting this slide presentation if you want it, and with this link.
Dr. Torres?
Yes.
I just wanted to ask you a few other questions that came up. Gladys was wondering, what would you recommend when educating, informing Western health providers about Curanderismo? Any specific resources to share to raise their awareness and cultural competence in working with Hispanic Latinx cultures?
Yes, I suggest that they check out the 4 videos that or 4 classes that I just mentioned. That has a series of videos. It's being used in several medical schools, including our own medical school. And I think physicians and allopathic medicine, at least they get an idea of what curanderismo is all about. So yes, and I do have, I'll mention some other publications in just a minute, but here's the Coursera in Espanol that will be introduced just within the next next month or so. And we have the topics many of the topics I just mentioned are here, but it will be totally in Spanish, also free of charge. And then here's some publications: Curanderismo, Traditional Healing of Mexico and the Southwest. Here's a bio of a lot of the curanderos we work with. We have several curanderos, and I have curanderos of the past, like Don Pedrito Jaramillo, Niño Fidencio, y Teresita Urrea, and then curanderos of nowadays that have already passed on, that are more current, curanderos of today and curanderos of tomorrow. So we have all these curanderos and what they do. And then Curanderismo, the art of traditional medicine without borders, goes along with the classes. And both of these publications are also found in Spanish by Kendall Hunt Publishing Company. And then this is a book that I write about my experiences with Curanderismo. My teacher was Crescencio Alvarado, known as Chenchito. And Chenchito is a fidencista. He healed in the name of Niño Fidencio. And he was my teacher for 30 years until he passed away 2 years ago at the age of 90. But I have so many wonderful stories on Curanderismo. And here we have Healing with Herbs and Rituals, which talks about 3 curanderos. At the top is Don Pedrito Jaramillo, and then El Famoso Niño Fidencio, who died Pedrito died in 1907. Niño Fidencio was the youngest of the 3. He died in 1938. He's from outside of Monterrey, Nuevo León, Monterrey. He died at the age of 38. And then Teresita Urrea was from the state of Sonora, Mexico. And she moved to Chihuahua. From Chihuahua, she came to El Paso, New Mexico, Arizona, California, San Francisco in California, and then New York City. And then she came back to Arizona, where she died in Clifton, Arizona. All 3 curanderos had an impact in the southwest of the U.S. And then we talk about a number of plants in this publication. It's a good resource book. Here's my contact. If you need anything, please feel free to call me or email me. Here's my email, and I'm at the University of New Mexico. I would like to, before I end this presentation, I have another video which is about 10 minutes. And I'm going to start this video right now. Let me see. Well, let me go back to the video. Sorry, here we go. Let me. It's on YouTube. Okay. We'll see if we can see this. Yeah, I think it's coming on. It might have a commercial because it's YouTube, but we'll try to speed it up.
When school isn't a place you have to be,
We'll try to skip that commercial.
why not go to school where remote learning can be as remote as you want?
These are some plants I found hiking. Here we have pine cone.
Okay, I think we're about ready to start. This is about a 10 minute video, but it summarizes everything I've been talking about.
Well, my passion is curanderismo. I study, I research, I write about it, and I teach a course every summer on the topic. How many of you have been to the course? Some of you, I see some hands up. So you know what it is. Curanderismo comes from the word curar, which means to heal. A curandero is a male healer, a curandera, a female healer. And think about this. In earlier years, there were few medical doctors, there were few ministers, priests, no counselors. So the curandero played all these roles using a holistic approach to healing the body, mind, and spirit. Now, my mom was not a curandera, but she should have been one. She would tell us, all 6 of us children, she would say, "Don't you dare get sick. And if you do, I'll take care of your illness." And she did. Using medicinal plants, using rituals, she kept us healthy. I'll give you an example. She loved the aloe vera plant, sábila. And she would call it la plantita milagrosa, the miraculous plant. And she would say, "This plant heals everything from pimples to wrinkles." Indeed, she used it on her wrinkles and on our pimples. But she also used it for burns and sunburns. And my dad had serious digestive problems, so she gave him papaya. Every day, she gave him papaya for breakfast. And she would ask us, "Please take your papaya, eat your papaya." Of course, you know how kids are. We didn't eat papaya. Until recently, I was diagnosed with diverticulitis, and the physician said, "You will need surgery." So immediately I got on the phone, I called Rita, my curandera friend from Mexico. I said, "Rita, I'm having surgery." She said, "No, you're not." She said, "Take papaya. 3 times a day if you have to." I said, "That's what my mom used to say." And she said, "Did you listen to your mom? Mother always knows best." And then there were those wonderful rituals. For example, the ritual of the 7 knots. In Spanish, it's called El Ritual de los 7 Nudos. How many of you have problems? Come on, all of us have problems. And this ritual, and it's amazing how the curanderos use simple things to deal with serious illnesses. All you need is a ribbon, a red ribbon, about 1.5 feet in length, and you think of 7 problems, and if you think you don't have 7 problems, you do. You take the ribbon, you take the half of the ribbon, and you tie a knot for your first problem. And you think about your problem, and you can pray if you'd like. Move a couple of inches to the right, you tie your second knot for your second problem, and then you go to the left, and then to the right, and to the left, and to the right, until you get to the 7th knot for your 7th problem. So you've already tied a circle with 7 knots. You take the ribbon with the 7 knots, and you find an empty jar, like an empty peanut butter jar or a mason jar. You put your ribbon with your knots in the jar, you close it, go to the backyard. Be careful the neighbors aren't watching, they think you're digging money. So you dig a hole, you bury the jar with the ribbons, and therefore you get rid of your 7 problems. Isn't that interesting? Very simple. Now, this reminds me of another ritual. A friend of mine told me, he's a curandero, he said, when we were kids, My dad was an alcoholic, and he would come home and he would insult us and he would curse at my mom, and we were miserable. But there were times that our dad would come home and he would go to the backyard and we would sneak behind him and we would hide in the shrubs. And then he would lie on the ground, lie on his stomach, and he would take out his pocket knife and he would dig a hole. And then he would curse at that hole and he would yell obscenities at that hole, and then he would cover it. And then he would come home and he would be as sweet as ever. What was he doing? What was it that he was getting rid of? All that anger, all that stress is in a lot of us, all that garbage that sometimes we need to get rid of in a very simple way. And then there was the ritual of susto, which means fright. Sociologists refer to susto as magical fright. Whenever you have a traumatic experience, an accident, maybe a fire, or maybe you've come back from a war, you may be suffering from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And I remember my cousin came back from Vietnam, and I'm sure he had PTSD, but I don't even think we had a label for it back then. And he would have flashbacks, he'd have migraines, he'd have suicidal thoughts. And my mother and my aunt said, he's got susto pasado. It's a serious susto. So what they did is they took plants, just not any plant. They took basil, they took rue, and rosemary, and they swept his body from head to toe 3 times in prayer. And I remember they would whisper, "May the spirit of Juan return to his body," 3 times a week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for a month. And they asked us to be part of the rituals. The neighbors would come and support. At the end of the month, my cousin was normal. Isn't it amazing how these wonderful things can cure a person? Now, my belief is that we can create a new healthcare model that will bring both traditional medicine and modern allopathic medicine together. In fact, I've seen this model work very effectively in Mexico at a place called Cevec, Centro de Desarrollo hacia la Comunidad, or a Human Development Center. It's really a school for curanderos, and hundreds, if not thousands, of curanderos go through that school. And usually it's a certificate program that lasts about 3 years. I was there about 3 years ago, and I had a terrible pain. I had sciatica. I could hardly walk. And one of the curanderos, who's also a professor there, said, "Cheo, what's wrong with you?" I said, "Well, I have sciatica, and I've had it for years." She said, "Can I work on you?" I said, "Of course." So she said, "First, we're going to a temazcal, which is a Mexican sweat lodge." And we did for about an hour. And then she gave me an herbal tea. And then she said, "Take a nap." She wrapped me in a blanket. And I napped for about 30, 40 minutes. Afterwards, she worked on my leg. She massaged, she pulled, she stretched. And after about an hour and a half, she said, "Go to sleep." I slept like a baby. The next morning, not only was I walking, I was running. And I have been pain-free for 3 years, folks. It's just incredible. At this school, Cevec, they teach curanderos that are actually the doctors of their villages things like healthy lifestyles, diets, juice therapy, acupressure, acupuncture. They make their own medicine with herbs. They make tinctures in alcohol base. They make microdoses with a water base. And they teach laugh therapy, risaterapia. Did you hear me? Laugh therapy. Now, Niño Fidencio, a famous curandero in the 1920s, was already doing laugh therapy. And now Rita, my friend Rita Navarrete, does laugh therapy. She teaches laugh therapy, even here at the University of New Mexico during the summers. Now, I think Rita has already realized that laugh activates endorphins, the natural body painkillers, and it suppresses epinephrine, the stress hormone. It also helps the immune system. It circulates the blood. It relieves anxiety. And I'd like to try an exercise with you that she taught me. Could you please stand, all of you, for a second? Now I want you to go along with what I say, okay? Start by saying he. Now, okay, now, he. Now, ha. Now, ho. Please sit down. Now, if any of you were experiencing pain, you will be pain-free for the next 30 to 40 minutes. Okay. I'm serious. Going back to the model, let's dream big and let's bring both forms of medicine. Now, we're beginning to do this at our own University of New Mexico Health Sciences Center, thanks to Dr. Arti Prasad, who has a Center for Life here. Yes. But this has to exist all over the country, in fact, all over the world. And I'll tell you, this is what we need to meet the needs of those that are uninsured, especially those 11 million immigrants that live here. The only time they go to the hospital is when they're really sick and they go to an emergency room, which is overcrowded and understaffed. So let's come up with a new model and stay healthy. Eat papaya and laugh a lot. Okay. Okay.
I don't know about everyone else, but I really enjoyed the laughter therapy. I think we had a lot of attendees actually participating in the laughter therapy while you were doing it, Dr. Torres. So thank you so much for sharing that. We had a couple. Oh, Dr. Torres, I'm not able to hear you right now. I'm not sure if others can.
Okay, yes, here we go.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Dr. Torres. Is it okay if I share a couple comments and questions with you? Wonderful. Sure. Adi Gonzalez shared it would be so empowering for providers to understand what their patients are talking about when they tell them about these practices. Being familiar with these practices will also be a great way to connect and establish a trusting relationship between patients and providers. We had Mariella Camargo say, I have met Eliseo in person and he is a wonderful and knowledgeable person, lots to learn. We had Pam Baumgartner who asked a question to you, Dr. Torres. How would you handle the case that she had some years ago in a boarding school? There was a teen diagnosed with osteomyelitis. I started him on antibiotics and he went home for a few days of school vacation. While there, his grandfather, who is a curandero, did what he told me was a x-ray and told him there was nothing wrong and didn't need to take any medication.
Well, it's hard to answer that question because curanderos, specialize in different areas. We have a group of curanderos that are called hueseros and sobadores. They're bone setters and they're massage therapists, but they also know several other techniques because they go to the school Cevec. I think that curanderos, like any profession, need to upgrade their skills. Maybe the grandfather, I'm not sure what his x-ray was, but his grandfather was not receiving any practices and any methods of healing that curanderos receive at this school that I just mentioned. We all have to upgrade our skills, and maybe that was the problem. I'm not sure. And also, a lot of curanderos know biomedicine that I work with. They may take your blood pressure. They may refer you to a physician if you need medical attention in a hospital or a clinic. It's common sense approach to healing, and that I think is the best curandero.
Thank you, Dr. Torres. We have Randy in the chat room raising his hand who wanted to ask a question. Randy, if you would like to ask your question to Dr. Torres, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask him. Okay, well, we'll see if Randy gets back to me in the next few minutes. Just also wanted to ask you, Dr. Torres, do all of these books, are they all translated into English or?
Most of them, but are not all of them. The two main books that I mentioned, Curanderismo and Curandero, are translated to Spanish. A Life in Mexican Folk Healing, it's already been translated. We just haven't gotten a publisher. It was done in Mexico, published in Mexico, but now I'm trying to find somebody to publish it here in the U.S. So yes and no, not all of them are translated, but the ones for the classes are translated, and the class will be offered. Mario Del Angel Guevara has translated one of the classes, and that will be offered here within the next month or two, totally in Spanish, and it will be free. It'll be online.
Wonderful.
And the books will be in Spanish also for that class, if people want to get the book. Or you can get the ebooks, which is online, which are a lot cheaper than getting the hard book.
Great. We had another person just comment that they were just visiting New Mexico, and it was a very, there's a lot of history and a lot of natural healing and energy. When your TED Talk was on, a lot of folks were commenting about sabia and the healing nature of sabia. We had someone say, I have a scar, a product from a melanoma surgery, and La Sabia has been working wonders for the area for years.
That's aloe vera or savila. Yes, it's very popular. It's very common in South Texas, California, Florida. It doesn't grow here in New Mexico because it's too cold for it. But yeah, in the valley of Texas, it grows around the Harlingen area, and it's commercialized. So I have a lot of faith in savila or aloe vera.
I think we're all just super full of gratitude to you, Dr. Torres. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. Gabriela Castillo said, I've taken your course, Professor. I appreciate all that you do to bring awareness of our people's medicine as a valid form of taking care of our well-being that goes beyond just our physical. So thank you. I want to just open up the floor in case anyone else would like to pose any questions to Dr. Torres. I don't want to have all the fun here. So if anyone would like to unmute themselves and ask any questions, please feel free to use the next few minutes to do that. And I'll be sure to post the evaluation link again so that everyone can go ahead and submit their feedback.
I may want to make a comment that during the summer, we have a face-to-face course that is 2 weeks. And a lot of the students come from out of state, and they stay in the dormitories, or we find a lodging that's reasonable. And we have a lot of fun in this course. We have a lot of wonderful curanderos that give presentations. In the afternoon, we have hands-on. They practice ventosas, they practice limpias, they practice all sorts of things. What we're trying to tell people is you can be your own curandero. We want you to empower yourself to heal yourself and your family. And in the evenings, we also enjoy temazcals, sweat lodges. There's like 4 temazcals in the Albuquerque area, so that people have a chance to go to different sweat lodges and have that experience also. We didn't have the face-to-face class last summer because of COVID. This summer we won't have it because of COVID, but I hope that in 2022 we'll return back to the face-to-face personal course.
I think it's so important for people to remember, and I just want to echo something that Gladys Carrillo just said. She said, amen, we have the power to heal ourselves. And in an age where we're all just sort of reaching for something that will give us some comfort, I think it's important to know that we can look inside our own selves and that we can provide our own comfort and wellness. So thank you so much again for sharing this, Dr. Torres.
Totally agree with that comment. You can do all. It's no secret on how you can learn these techniques and prepare your own medicine and grow your own medicinal garden. And you don't have to go to emergency room or urgent care for minor illnesses. You can take care of them and know when you have to seek medical attention or the services of a curandero, curandera. Although there are few curanderos in the U.S. anymore, but you can learn from what grandma used to do and learn those techniques very well.
We have folks, I think a lot of them are saying that they have a lot to research now. And I myself and a colleague were saying that we're going to be buying some papaya soon. And so I think we've gotten a lot to look into. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking to all of you. And I hope that one of these days we'll be able to meet, or you can email me or call me for anything that I can help with. I may want to say that we, in the summer class, we usually have a large group of participants and students from California, mostly Northern California, around the Bay Area. We get a large group from Texas, from some from Arizona, from Colorado. And believe it or not, we have a large group coming from New York, Long Island, and New York City, and Minnesota. They're doing a lot of things in Minnesota. You wouldn't believe that. I think the movement seems to be growing, and people are creating their own healings. Depends on where region you work with. And we work with the Native American cultures here quite a lot. We have 19 pueblos, and we work with some of them, and they communicate well, and we do a lot of similar things. So it's been a wonderful experience, a wonderful journey.
Thank you so much, everyone. It's just about 2:00, and I linked our evaluation form in the chat, and we just have some more folks expressing their thanks to Dr. Torres, that this was a very interesting topic. Everyone really enjoyed the session. Muchas bendiciones. Thank you for a super informative session. It was an excellent presentation, so thank you, and I hope everyone has a really nice afternoon and enjoys the rest of their virtual forum experience. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Adios.
Adios.